G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Legends video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the New Year's fireworks event, which is an event that didn't come out this year. It came out I think for last year's New Year's. Basically that allows you to get your hands on a sparking first form Frieza. Pretty decent first form Frieza. I don't want to say he's absolutely excellent, but he is pretty good. And he does buff the Frieza Force category, which is a lot of free-to-play units. So overall, I think there's a lot of incentives for players to kind of give it a try and to get a hold of them. Obviously, the process is fairly simple. As you complete each stage, more stages will unlock. There are 3 bonus stages. One is a daily bonus stage. Then there's one bonus stage that will drop additional Frieza Force medals. And then there's another bonus stage that will drop the equipment. The Frieza medals that you get can be used pretty much mainly on Z-Power, along with some energy and skip tickets, so nothing too crazy there. And for the most part, you shouldn't have too big a problem with kind of working your way through, these missions. The missions are fairly straightforward. They do require you to do some work with the Frieza Force category with the anime original sagas. You can do all of this just by having Frieza, and Frieza, as I mentioned, can be unlocked by just simply doing the first stage. So by just doing the first stage, you can get Frieza done, and then that's pretty straightforward. So some fairly good stuff overall there, which I think is pretty good. And yeah, just a really good time in general. So beyond that though, really, at least for me, a fairly simple procedure. All you have to do is complete the stages, and then you'll be able to take things from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to just kind of skip, jump ahead to where we've completed all the stages. We'll claim what Z-Power we can for Frieza from the store, and then from there we will just take a look and see what we can do overall. So from there we'll just see whether we can complete the bonus stages or the additional stages. Something I will say, of course, as you can probably tell, try and use as many Frieza Force characters as you can. The main reason being, quite frankly, that you get a lot of added bonus out of using the Frieza Force guys, because it helps you to complete the missions. So yeah, really just a very good time to do so. But beyond that, everything is pretty straightforward. I think most players shouldn't have an issue with this. There's not a lot of stone rewards here, or chrono crystal rewards I should say. So yeah, if you're looking for those, you're not going to get them here, although you will get your hands on a pretty decent event exclusive unit. So I still think that's relatively worth it, at least for me. Obviously we skipped ahead. We've completed all of those missions. We're now going to claim as much of Frieza as we can, the Z-Power that we can, which I think is pretty good value, at least for me. And yeah, overall just some fairly good stuff. Honestly, I think most players shouldn't have like a massive issue when it comes to this event. It's fairly straightforward. The value in it is the Frieza unit. I don't think there's much else, like I mentioned, but for me it's always nice to pick up these units. You can use them for things like Zenkai Ultra Space Time Rush, especially if you're a new player. It's quite energy efficient, I would say, as well. And Frieza, like I said, does lead the Frieza Force category, which already has a fair chunk of what I would say are fairly good free-to-play options. I want to say, like, fairly decent free-to-play options. So yeah, overall I would definitely say there's some good investment in the process. As you can see, in terms of like just the kind of event here, it's not too difficult. At least this one isn't, the special battle. And then there's a second special battle, which will be for the equipment. You can do either in whatever order. I prefer to do this one first, because then that way if I want to gather any more kind of resources for Frieza, or to gather more of a Z-Power, I can, and it's not a too difficult process. Obviously it still can be difficult, depending on like what you're dealing with, etc. But for me, it's not really too difficult a process, at least, on the surface level. So yeah, Frieza, fairly straightforward, fairly good unit. Again, I do think these events, or grabbing these event exclusive units, in the long run are worth your time. Yes, maybe if you're a more experienced player, or you're someone who's not really been around for a while, the units do age quite quickly. There's no Zenkai for Frieza yet, but maybe there will be in future. You do want to be prepared at the minimum for it. So yeah, in general, I think there's still a lot of incentive to possibly be invested in units like Frieza, and to consider getting Frieza and leveling Frieza and working on Frieza in that way. But yeah, overall, just a fantastic kind of principle, fantastic kind of process. Very, very simple. When you can use like all these kind of free-to-play Frieza Force units, it's a very, very, very straightforward kind of team. Very, very straightforward playing procedure. Auto-battled. A lot of it is incredibly straightforward. So you shouldn't have like a massive issue. Obviously, not to say that it's terribly easy, but it isn't the hardest content in the world. But yeah, with that being said, I do think Frieza's at least a fun unit. He does have some pretty nice animations, and he goes well paired with like the Ginyu that you can now grab, the Frieza first form you can grab, with the Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa that you can get. So in general, just a nice free-to-play option for kind of building around those teams. Nothing too crazy. It's not going to blow your mind. But yeah, you should still have a fairly decent time when you consider using these guys and everything like that. So yeah, for me, at least there was some decent value in it. Again, I don't know if everyone's going to want to do it. I don't know if everyone's going to have the same level of value as maybe I might see in it. But that's okay. It's you don't always have to use the same units or anything like that. It's really not a big deal, and it is just a free-to-play unit at the end of the day. But I thought I'd like to cover it and bring that attention to people. I know some people are new to Legends, are looking to start the game, and Frieza is a fairly easy pickup. There's really not too many complex mechanics in regards to this event. It's conservative when it comes to stamina. So in general, I find, at least for me, that it's a fairly good sort of event overall, and it is fairly consistent when it comes to the rewards and the reward scheme. The remainder of the missions, once you've completed all of the stages, are mainly going to be for using the Frieza Force to a certain capacity, which isn't too difficult. I know some people might struggle with it, and that's okay. But yeah, generally speaking, you shouldn't have any huge problems when it comes to getting these missions done. You can do them kind of passively almost. But yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and bye.